Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. If you're in your early 20s and you've ever struggled with overthinking, self-doubt, anxiety, emotional pain, negative self-talk, ADHD, or feeling stuck mentally, then this episode is for you. Today, I'm joined by Karen Dwyer-Tesoriero, a psychotherapist based in New York City who specializes in complex PTSD, ADHD, and adult mental health. She helps people undo negative self-talk and limiting belief that holds them back from becoming their best self. Karen, it's so nice to have you here. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this today.
All right. So can you tell us more about what you do?
Sure. Essentially, I'm a psychotherapist. I work with people on a one-on-one basis. My early career was working in New York City foster care. That's really where I started learning more about complex PTSD and what that means and what is that and how does it show up in real life for the kids that I was working with, the families I was working with, and had as a therapist, how does that show up in the room? And it was just through that history and that experience that I wanted to learn more and more about it. And 30 years in the field, here I am.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
For people meeting you for the first time, can you tell us who you are and what you do and what actually led you into, psychotherapy?
So technically my degree is in social work and I really went through this is a funny story. I really went through a hard time when I was going into college. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and the first college I went to was so big and it was so overwhelming. I just stopped going to class. I literally just
Oh,
stopped going to class. I just didn't go. I didn't withdraw. I didn't tell anybody. I just stopped going. And then my grades came in and my parents wanted to have a cow. They were like, you cannot not go to school. And so I went the next semester and I did the same thing. I was hanging out with my friends. I didn't withdraw from the classes. We paid all this money. And my parents were finally like, you either go to therapy and figure out your life or you have to leave the house. Like, we can't have this anymore. And so I started with a therapist and she was influential in my life. And I came up with the plan. I was working at that point and I was only making a little bit of money. $7 an hour in New York City is not a lot of money. And I was like, I can't keep doing this for the rest of my life. And I had to keep thinking about what did I want to do. And I kept my therapist in mind. And I was like, I could do what she did. I could sit and listen to people and talk to people. Like, I have a gift for that. I was like, I could make a living doing that. Like, I could do what she does. And so I went to my college professors. I was like, how do I get to be a therapist? Like, what do I have to do to get there? And they walked me through the process. And I got my degree in social work. I went on to my master's degree in social work. And I started right when I was graduating from college while I was in my master's degree program working in foster care. And that was it. I know I'm lucky because I found this career early and this is exactly where I should be. This is exactly what I should be doing. And I love every day of the work that I do.
wow. That sounds exciting, actually. And I must admire the fact that you actually, decided to go for what you want. That's
Yeah.
something a whole lot of us should learn. All right.
I
So
tell
you,
people all the time, you have to find something that you love because if you find something you love, it's not gonna bother you to get up and be like, oh, I have to go to work today. Luckily, like I've had those days here and there, but for the most part, I'm like, oh, I get to see that client today. Or, oh, that client, like they had that thing going on. I can't wait to find out how did that happen? Like what happened with them today? I love hearing people's stories. And
wow.
that's part of why I love doing what I do.
Okay, that's amazing. So you mentioned, overcoming your own challenges. What was that journey like, and how did it shape the work you do today, basically?
So all of the, that's such a loaded question. So much of what therapists do is overcoming our own challenges, right? Like we call ourselves wounded healers because we've been through our own struggles. We've learned things about ourselves. We've learned stuff about mental health. We've learned coping skills. Like there's so many different things that we learn. And then we take that and we bring that to our education. We bring that to the trainings we do. We bring that to our clients every day. And it's not to say that everything is one size fits all or if, well, I did it, you could do it. That it's more niche than that. It's more specific than that because I want to get to know my clients. I want to get to hear their story and I want to be like, what have you tried and what hasn't worked? But more importantly, what have you tried and what has worked? Let's build from there and look at those things. And more importantly, the bigger thing that I really am passionate about is helping people to understand that those negative thoughts that they carry about themselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. Those things usually are not true. I've never met one person who doesn't hold value on this earth. I've never met one person who isn't lovable. I've never met one person who isn't good enough. We just have to help them understand that those messages were probably put there by somebody else based on that other person's life experiences. And it probably says more about them than it ever says about us. that really helps us to move forward and to really think about, well, what do I want to believe about myself, and how can I make that happen? Where does that live in me? Because we know from trauma work that healing takes place in the system. We know we all have the skills to overcome our trauma, and that's not to say you don't need therapy. We have therapeutic approaches that help with that, and that's where therapists come in. But we need people to believe in themselves just a little bit in order to start making change.
Wow. So believe in yourself, right?
Yes.
I got that one. Okay, so why do you think, mental health struggles are common, especially among people in their 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mental health goes across all lifespans. And I've said this on a bunch of different podcasts that I've been on. Every single person on this earth needs to be in therapy. Like, we all need to be in therapy. There's nobody here who is immune from therapy, right? So I want to just say that out loud. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are in the world. Find a therapist. Like, we need you to be in therapy. And there's so many options right now with remote therapy and telehealth. Like, everybody should be in it. I'm sorry, I forgot your question. That was my ADHD. 20-year-olds.
Okay, yeah.
So 20-year-olds really struggle, I think, right now, just because of the state of the world that we're in. I think the 20-year-olds today, I think you guys have a lot more information available to you, whether it's through social media, the news outlets. Every time you scroll on your phone, you get like news alerts from Apple phone, like news and information is coming at us all the time. So whether that's through podcasts, any outlet, TikTok, like all of these different things, we are hearing about mental health. We're hearing about what trauma is. We're hearing about neuroscience and how it impacts on us. So I think you guys have a lot more information available to you than we ever had in my generation. We didn't know this stuff. Like, you were depressed and you just laid in bed. Like you just laid in bed. Like, that was it. Now, like, there's so much more out there available. College campuses are helping young 20-year-olds and college age students really deal with anxiety, really deal with depression. What happens when your partner breaks up with you when you're in college and you're devastated? How do you manage those difficult feelings? It's just a lot more available. And to that, like, it's a really great gift that it's so much available and that there are so many resources available, because back in the day, it was nothing.
Yeah.
You were left to your own devices, and that was it. Good luck to you. Like, we didn't have college counseling centers. We didn't have, the availability of resources. Like, the information is also different. Like, it's just fascinating. When I went to college for grad school, we never learned about neuroscience. We didn't know. There was never any conversation about the brain. Now, when I go to trainings, that's all we talk about is the neuroscience behind the theory, behind the psychology, behind it's all linked together, and how the physical body and physically feeling well impacts on the mental health. Like, it's all connected, and it's a lot more is known about that now. So our therapeutic approaches are more in line and more targeted because we just have more information.
Okay, wow. All right. So, what are some early signs of, someone that is struggling mentally, but they might not even realize that they have such challenges?
Usually, and this sounds very some people might turn around and be like, well, I'm just shy. That's just my normal state. When you see somebody and then you don't see them for a while, you find that they're isolating. That's a red flag that something's going on. You want to check in with that person. If somebody is very anxious, usually people who are anxious will tell you, like, I feel a lot of anxiety. Check in with them. Like, I think we need to check in with each other more and just be like, how are you doing? Like, what's going on with you? And it's not to say that our own needs aren't important, but just checking in with each other and being like, how are you today? What can I do to help you today? Can I support you in some way today? And it doesn't mean doing stuff necessarily. It might just be listening and checking in, a text message like, hey, I'm thinking of you today. That might be all it takes to help somebody.
Okay.
Build
So,
community.
all right. So build a community and check up on people.
Yeah.
Wow.
We regulate ourselves. We regulate our central nervous system through connection. That's why COVID was so damaging for people. And so many people got depressed and anxious during the shutdown, because we are social beings and we need other people in order to help co-regulate us. So when we're separated from other people, we don't have that. That's one less way we have to co-regulate. And that's why being social, checking in on each other, building community, it really is important.
Okay, wow. Something came to my mind, and I was like, not all shoes are equal and people differ. How about in situations where I do not have anyone to check up on me? How do I now deal with this problem I'm encountering or facing?
Right. And that's what I was saying. Like, some people are just naturally shy and they don't have that
Yeah.
community, but there's got to be some place. There's got to be some, whether it's a church, a religious organization, family members, anything. And I don't care, honestly, I don't care if it's someone walking outside your door. Just be like, hey, how are you today? You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like, it's people struggle sometimes with making friends. And I think because we live in a digital age, and I say this all the time, like I'll turn around and if somebody has an interesting dog, if somebody has an interesting pair of sunglasses, like, hey, I really like your sunglasses. Sometimes that's all it takes is one little thing to be like, hey, how are you today? What's new with you today? That's all it takes for people to feel like, wow, this person sees me. This person feels connected to me. And
Yeah.
so it's really just a matter of a smile and a hi. That's all it
Mm.
takes to engage with somebody.
Okay. Just a smile and a hi. I got
Yeah,
that
a
one.
smile and a hi. That's all it takes. I do this with my kids all the time. My kids
Mm.
are 22 and 19, and they're like,
Mm.
why do you talk to people? I'm like, why do you not? Like, just say hi. It doesn't hurt to say hi to people.
Oh.
We were in a grocery store, and I'm very just me being me. We were putting the groceries on the conveyor belts, and I turned around to the cashier. I was like, "Hey, how are you today?" And I literally just said it, like out of just the air. And the guy turned around. He was the cashier, and he was like, "I'm doing okay." He's like, "Are you from Brooklyn?" I was like, "Yes." He's like, "I'm from Queens." The next thing I know, we went into this whole thing. He was giving me a store discount. We wound up getting about $50 worth of groceries for $20. We walked out. My partner looked at me. He's like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just said hi." Like, I don't know.
Right?
It's
Wow.
just that's all it takes is to really to build community. It just starts with the word hi and then see where it goes from there. Be curious about people.
Okay. Wow. I think I'm definitely going to adopt that one. I like it. All right. So what are some practical steps young people can take, to rewire negative thinking patterns? Always thinking down on yourself. What do I need to do? You know.
One of the things that I tell people all the time, or one of the questions I ask, is where did you get that message from? When was the
Mm.
first time you can remember back to hearing that message or telling yourself that message? What was going on then? We really want to look at what was happening then. And then my next question is that message something you're giving yourself, or did that come from somebody else? And oftentimes with childhood trauma, that's a message that's passed down to us from our parents or our caregivers or whoever the adults are in our lives at
Mm.
that point, because we're relying on those adults to take care of us, to feed us, to clothe us. So, like, we're getting messages from them in order to relate to them, in order to co-regulate with them. And when those messages that we're getting are negative messages, we carry those negative messages into adulthood. It's not something innate in us, it's put on us from somebody else. So that's where we want to figure out, where did I get that message from and how true is it? What evidence do I have to support that it's not true? So if
Mm.
you're telling yourself you're not good enough, oh, I listened to one of your podcasts previously with
Mm.
somebody. He was a financial security person, and he talked about like the word password and don't set your passwords. And
Mm.
he started off talking about a time where he was jumped and a time where a 13-year-old girl told him that she had been raped. And I'm
Mm.
listening to them like that's all trauma. And here it
Mm.
is, he took those messages that he received about that and he turned around and he used that to protect other people. And so
Mm.
those are protective things that developed inside of him of I need to protect other people now because I don't want other people to have those bad experiences. And if he was here today, he'd probably be like, holy cow, like maybe she's right. Like, yeah, there is some of that in there. But
Yeah.
looking at it and hearing it as a therapist, I was like, that's all trauma. And those are the negative messages of I'm not going to be a victim or I don't want to be the victim. So he was doing whatever he could to protect himself and that 13-year-old friend of his, and then going forward now to everybody.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, this one relates to ADHD and PTSD. So, what are the common misconceptions people have regarding ADHD and PTSD, basically?
So this is a very interesting topic to me. So I have ADHD, my son has ADHD, I have complex trauma. So literally what happens is there's a huge overlap when we're looking at like the signs and symptoms of both. They look like each other. And the problem
Mm.
with kids who have ADHD, little kids, is, and I'm going to be honest, like I said, my son has ADHD. There are times where I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I just want to lose my stuff. Like, because like even as a therapist, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much. But what happens is that might send negative messages of I'm
Mm.
too much, I'm not good enough. And then that creates the complex PTSD. So there's a
Mm.
lot of overlap between ADHD and complex
Yeah.
PTSD because
Mm.
even rejection sensitivity disorder, right? That's
Mm.
common in people with ADHD. They're
Mm.
very receptive to what's going on and they feel like other people are rejecting them. Well, part of complex PTSD might be borderline, and that looks very similar. So there's a lot of overlap. That's a lot of negative messaging in there. Like even with kids with ADHD, if they're constantly getting in trouble at school and then the teacher keeps calling the parent and the parent, they get in trouble at home. Like the kids might internalize a lot of negative messaging about that. And so the long story short of that is I really feel like parents, teachers, we need to learn how to co-regulate ourselves so that the child with ADHD will learn how to co-regulate themselves. They'll learn how to manage it. And sometimes they can't. Sometimes they're just looking for those dopamine hits because their brain lacks dopamine. That's what ADHD
Yeah.
is. They don't mean to be rambunctious. They don't mean to be driving people crazy. It's just how their brain works. And that's okay. And we have to teach the child to accept it. Like, this is just how your brain works. And I love you anyway. And we're going to find ways to manage that because you're important and you're valued. And we all need to learn how to manage the way that your brain works. And that's okay.
Okay, wow. All right. So moving on. Yeah.
Yeah.
How can, what mindset shift helps people that feel stuck? What mindset should help them, move forward, basically?
Hope is the best thing for that. Having
Hope.
literally recognizing that everything, so feelings come and go and they ebb and flow. So people always come into therapy like, I just want to be happy. Happy is just like any other emotion. It's just like sadness. It's just like frustration. It's just like disappointment. It might be here now. They might be gone tomorrow. And that's okay. Our feelings are going to ebb and flow. Nothing is permanent. And I don't want anybody to make decisions about like a permanent decision based on feelings. So I tell everybody, if you're feeling something, do not make any big choices. Like, the only choice you should make that day is, what color socks am I going to put on? Like, that should be it. Like, that should be the extent. When you're in a really bad place and you're having a lot of negative thoughts or feeling bad about yourself, do not make any major choice, any major decisions, because you're not in the right state of mind to make a good decision. Give it space. Give it space. And one of the questions that I always ask people is, what is this going to matter in a week, in 2 weeks, in 6 weeks, in 6 months, in 10 years? That's the scale. And if it's not going to matter in 2 weeks, let it go. If it's not going to matter in 10 years, let it go. Like let it go. Like, where is this decision making going to impact? And what is that going to look like? Because sometimes we get so revved up in the feeling of it. I got to take action. I got to take action. And sometimes the best action is inaction. And like, nope, let's just take it back a minute. Let's get regulated and let's make a really good decision here.
Wow. This, what you said now, I must say it's really insightful, because someone told me, he said feelings are temporary, right? So if you
Yes.
make decisions based on your feelings, you might not end up liking the outcome, right? So yeah, I love that word.
Absolutely. That's why we got to take those step backs and we got to really like be in a good place and be like, okay, now what do I want to do with that? What would be the best outcome?
Okay, wow. Okay. So should I say my final question, of which I'm not sure it is, because I love this conversation. All right. So how can someone rebuild, belief and self-confidence?
So that's such an interesting question. And I don't know anybody who does not struggle with self-confidence and self-esteem and believing in themselves. And what I tell people is, look at the things you've done right. Everybody has something they've done right in their life. Start with that. Build from that point. Do something, look at something, whether it's something in school, something with a friend. I was never a great student, and I always got in trouble for talking. Obviously, it's what I do, is I talk. And so literally, like, when I think about that, I'm like, how often did I get in trouble for talking? How often did I get in trouble at home because I was talking in class? And now I make a living talking to people all day. And you could easily take that negative of, oh, she talks too much, but now I'm making a living doing it. So that's the positive in it. So whatever that is for any individual person, always there's something positive to learn from it, to take away from it. And as bad as the situation might be, what did I learn from this? How can I apply this to a different scenario that might be coming up in my life? There's always something positive to take away.
Okay. Thank you so much for this. My final question, actually.
Yeah.
So, what's your definition of success?
Oh, I think it's different for every single person.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, it's having people around me who love me and care about me and support me. And that's my definition of success. And just knowing that they're right there to catch me if I fall.
Okay, wow. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you define success as, having people around who loves you genuinely. And I must say that's a really good thing, because I feel personally, if you have people around that loves you, then you've gotten so far in life if you have those
Yeah.
people around you, right?
And
So
honestly, it doesn't have to be a lot of people. It only has to be a couple.
a couple of people. Okay,
Just one
wow.
or two people is all you need. And that is success as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much, Karen. This has
Thank you for
been
having
really,
me, Joy.
yeah, this has been really, really insightful. So is there any platform where, listeners can get to know more about you?
Sure. So there's always my website. It's D.Tesoriero, LCSW.net. And then I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. So absolutely reach out and connect. I would love to hear from people.
All right, I'm definitely going to your TikTok handle now.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much. And yeah, for people who love this episode, do well to share to someone who you think might need this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes.